So the other day, I was walking back to my car after 9 hours out shooting in Detroit. I don't, well, the camera that the incident happened is, well, this camera right here. So we'll just reenact it with this old thing from, kind of Vietnam era. I'm walking down Greektown Main Street, busy street, cops out patrolling, guiding traffic. It's a busy night. The hockey team played that night. And a homeless man grabs my camera lens and starts yanking it. And I'm like, oh no, I thought I was being impolite. I thought, oh no, he must think I'm trying to take his picture. He was like, no pictures. Right as I'm having those thought processes happen in my head, a man next to me walking, just a stranger, he's like, oh, you want to steal that man's camera? Well, I'm going to take your phone. And takes this homeless man's phone. The guy actually had like a big old honking nice smartphone. I'm like, well, I guess he's not homeless after all. He's just, posing as it were, as a homeless man. The guy let go of my camera, and the man who took the phone kept the phone, I think, if I remember correctly. And we just keep walking, and it's just finally like dawning on me, dude, a guy just tried to mug me, a guy tried to rob me. And I'm like, thank you so much. It's like a tale of two cities. You got the best of people, you got the worst of people. You are the best of people. And the guy next to him, who was another stranger to the two of us, he's like, yeah, dude, I would have jumped in as well to help you if he hadn't. So, really felt, good in the city, that happened. Sad I didn't report it to the police, because I'm sure that man struck again. It's never happened to me before. In fact, the funny thing is, I had, where did I put it? This desk got messy. I always keep a knife with me when I'm in Detroit. And it was in my pocket. Didn't even think to use it. Good for nothing. I thought, in terms of being robbed blind, what would I do if I had to start completely over from zero? If I had to buy all my equipment all over again? And I thought of 3 answers to that question, depending on what level photographer you are. 3 different levels. And actually, to start off with, I'm going to start at what I like to call level 0. So let's flip over this. Hello, my tyros. I should add the fun word of the day. As I noted in the video, I lost my memory card.
Hypozeuxis.
This might be a hypozeuxis, but I failed. I shot a video on Saturday, and I lost the memory card. I put it in my pocket, and it must have fallen out of my pocket somewhere in Detroit. It's gone forever. No getting it back. All right, so you got your 3 levels, and actually kind of 4 levels, but we're going to start with level 0. So level 0. So 4 levels of photographers, start with level 0. Here are 2 preliminary things before you buy your camera body and camera lens. Preliminary number 1 is buy used. And the reason for this is because if you get a new car, you drive off the lot, immediately it appreciates in value greatly. Same thing if you buy a camera. If you buy a new camera, this is not a new camera. If you buy a new camera and start using it, immediately that camera starts to depreciate in value. So buy used. I forgot to write the word used. And, you're going to save money. There's no purpose to overspend. Reason number 2, or preliminary number 2, is buy the Nikon brand. And right here, actually both of these, but this one, this is a Nikon camera. I know it's from 1965 because the lens that came with it is from 1965, and I got the pair for a cool $20 off of Craigslist. This 1965 lens, if I take it off here very, very carefully, because it's got that little aperture doodad. If I put that 1965 lens without an adapter on the front of this 2007 Nikon D800 camera body, boom, snaps right in. That is thaumaturgy. That is magical. Nikon is the only camera brand that can boast this sort of faithfulness to their brand. Basically, buy Nikon brand because you don't need to buy a $50 or more expensive adapter to be able to use your older lenses on your camera. And like I said, you can get these old lenses for a song. $10 for that lens. Otherwise that lens might be $100, $120. You're going to be saving lots of money if you buy used and you buy Nikon. So now let's move up from level 0 to we're just gonna put them next to each other. Level 1, the level 1 photographer. So level 1 I describe as a beginner. Maybe you've had a point and shoot, but you want to move up to a removable, replaceable lens, fully manual capable camera body. Now I would recommend you get an older prosumer Nikon camera body. And here are two very arbitrary standards by which to make your decision. Standard number 1 is get a camera body. Here's a perfect example. This is my dummy camera. It doesn't work anymore. That's why I call it my dummy. It's a Nikon D800 from 2007. Get a camera body with the screen on the top. So top screen. This is a very arbitrary standard, but typically a camera with a top screen, whether Nikon, Canon, or otherwise, is a prosumer line camera that you can see data on the top about your shot you're taking, and of course you can screen, look at the shots you can chip on the back. Usually if they have the top screen, you have lots of buttons and dials that give you immediate access to changing your settings. Usually ones that do not have this screen, you have to go into the menu to change certain things. It's just a very random indicator of a better camera. And arbitrary thing number 2 is get a camera with at least 10 megapixels of resolution, I think you might call it. And this arbitrary standard comes from back in the old newspaper days. I mean, we're still in the newspaper era, but let's be honest, it's sort of on a sad decline. In the newspaper era, you had to have at least a 10 megapixel or higher digital camera if you were going to get your digital picture in print. If it was fit to print, it was 10 megapixels or higher. So stick with that same rationale and get a 10 megapixel. This is a 10 megapixel D200, or D300 is I think 12 megapixels. So get one of those camera bodies. They're going to run you a cool no more than maybe we'll say $300. So $300 budget. So now let's move over to level 2. So level 2 photographer. So this is no longer the beginner from level 1. This is someone who knows what they're doing, but they want to do it as merely a hobby, not for a living, as a hobby. But they know what they're doing, and they deserve a nicer camera. So the level 2 photographer, my 2 pieces of advice for you. Advice number 1 is get yourself a full frame camera. You already know what I'm going to say. Full frame is good because you get better low light, you get better chance to crop and not lose too much data. They're pricier, but of course, suddenly those old lenses I mentioned before, you don't have any crop factor to them. They just work. So you get yourself a full frame camera, a D600, D700. And over here, again, D200, so 200, or D300. So just like the price, 200, 300. The D600 and 700 are the earliest full-frame models available from Nikon, and they'll run you about $800 to $1,000. Not too bad. Let's say you are level 3, which would be the photographer that knows what they're doing and they want to do it for a living. Now, since you're going to do it for a living, of course you want a full frame camera, you want the top screen, you want at least 10 megapixels. I would recommend getting a top shelf camera body. Now, you don't need this. I'm using a Nikon D800 and I want to do it for a living. But a top shelf body like a Nikon D3, D4, not the D5 yet, it's too new. These are just built a little bit better than the D800 or the D700, D600. Their weather sealing's a little bit better. They have better battery situation. Got the battery grip built in. Just little things that really do make the difference for the discriminating professional. And finally, for the level 3, you gotta do video. If you are gonna do photography professionally, you need to get your feet wet with video because video is the future. So unfortunately, you are going to be spending for a used camera between $1,500 to $1,600. So you start at 3, maybe 400, and you double to 8, and then you double to 1,600 as your top budget areas for the cameras you get. Now, let's talk about lenses. You have your level 1, 2, and 3. All right, so level 1 lens, the beginner. I would recommend getting a 50mm f1.8. Nice, cool, good lens. Level 2, retain that 50-1.8, but add on to your collection an 85 1.8 and maybe a 28 2.8. Now this will get you your portrait and it'll get you your wide. Now finally, for the professional, 24 to 70, 70 to 200, 2.8. All right, so that about does it for your photography gear. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to never miss a Ryan Ellis photography update. Want even more? Well, support me on Patreon to become a premium member. Au revoir.